राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतजी श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य ब्यूटी फाउंडर आचार्य सेवर ऑफ द होल वर्ल्ड शील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतजी श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज शील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मैया यमुना मैया की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। पतित पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकाधीश की जय। श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकानाथ की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3rd, Chapter 15, Description of Kingdom of God, Text 24. Yebhyarthitamapi cha no nrugatim prapanna okay, yeah. Yebhyarthi prapanna jnanam cha tattva vishayam sahadharma yatra Naradhanam bhagavato vitarantyamushya Sammohita vitataya batamayayate Yebhyarthitamapi cha no nrugatim prapanna Jnanam cha tattva vishayam sahadharmam yatra Naradhanam bhagavato vitarantyamushya Sammohita vitataya batamayayate Yebhyarthitamapi cha no nrugatim prapanna Jnanam cha tattva vishayam sahadharmam yatra नाराधनं भगवतो वितरन्त्यमुष्य सम्मोहिता विततया बत मायया ते ये मयर्थितामपि निगतिं प्रपन्ना ज्ञानं च तद्विषयं सह धर्मं यत्र नाराधनं भगवतो वितरन्त्यमुष्य सम्मोहिता विततया बत मायया ते वितरन्त्यमुष्य सम्मोहित विततया बत मायया ते तामपि च नृगतिं प्रपन्ना ज्ञानं च तत्त्वविषयं सह धर्मं यत्र नाराधनं भगवतो वितरन्त्यमुष्य सम्मोहिता विततया बत मायया ते येभ्यर्थितामपि च नो नृगतिं प्रपन्ना अनं च तत्त्वविषयं सह धर्मं यत्र नाराधनं भगवतो वितरन्त्यमुष्य सम्मोहिता विततया बत मायया ते येभ्यर्थितामपि नो नृगतिं प्रपन्ना ज्ञानं च तत्त्वविषयं सह धर्मं यत्र नाराधनं भगवतो वितरन्त्यमुष्य सम्मोहिता विततया बत मायया ते वैष्णवीस ये those persons abhyarthitam desired api certainly cha and naha by us Brahma and the other demigods nragatim the human form of life prapannaha have attained jnanam knowledge cha and tattva vishayam subject matter about the absolute truth sahadharmam along with religious principles yatra where na not aradhanam worship bhagavataha of the Supreme Personality of Godhead vitaranti perform amushya of the Supreme Lord sammohitaha being bewildered vitataya all pervading bata alas mayaya by the influence of the illusory energy they Translation and purport by His Divine Grace C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Lord Brahma said, "My dear demigods, the human form of life is of such importance that we also desire to have such life. For in the human form, one can attain perfect religious truth and knowledge. If one in the human form of life does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His abode, it is to be understood that he is very much affected by the influence of external nature." Purport. Brahmaji condemns very vehemently the condition of the human being who does not take interest in the personality of Godhead and his transcendental abode Vaikuntha. The human form of life is desired even by Brahmaji. Brahma and other demigods have much better material bodies than human beings. Yet, the demigods, including Brahma, nevertheless desire to attain the human form of life because it is specifically meant for the living entity who can attain transcendental knowledge and religious perfection. It is not possible to go back to Godhead in one life, but in the human form, one should at least understand the goal of life and begin Krishna consciousness. It is said that the human form is great boon because it is the most suitable boat for crossing over the Niscience ocean. The spiritual master is considered to be the most able captain in that boat, and the information from the scriptures is the favorable wind for the floating over the ocean of Niscience. The human being who does not take advantage of all these facilities in this life is committing suicide. Therefore, one who does not begin Krishna consciousness in the human form of life loses his life to the influence of the illusory energy. Brahma regrets the situation of such a human being. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunathan Vitamstam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So I seek blessings of all devotees so that I can speak something glorifying Lord for all of your pleasure and for my purification. So in yesterday's verse and today's verse, Brahmaji is mentioning who cannot reach Vaikuntha planets. And in specifically today's verse, he is mentioning the rarity of human life and the responsibility one gets. So we'll see today how human form is rare and how we should be responsible since we have got it. And then we'll also see today is the foundation day of ISKCON, like ISKCON was incorporated. So we'll discuss a little bit about that historic event. So first of all, rarity of human life. So when spirit soul, he wants to enjoy separate from Lord, Mahavishnu, he extracts those spirit souls by his glance from spiritual worlds and impregnates them in the material nature, where all this Mahatattva is there, like all the 24 elements. And then each universe comes out from Lord Mahavishnu's body. In that, there is another form of Lord Vishnu, Kshirodakshai Vishnu is laying there, and from his navel comes Brahmaji. Now, and then the half water, like the universe is that of shape of an egg. It's half filled with the perspiration of Lord, and from the navel comes the lotus, and from there comes Lord Brahma. And then we saw initially, like in earlier chapters, how Brahmaji tries to find who he is, what he needs to do, and finally, he hears this words tapa, and then he starts austerity. And after many years, he realizes, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashita, realizes the knowledge from Krishna and start creating the universe. Okay. Now, from the time the spirit soul has, extracted from the spiritual world till this time, already there has been like, millions of years has been passed. And then the souls are still in the dormant state. And then Brahmaji starts, creating, from his mind, from his thoughts, different progenitors, Prajapatis, they start populating the planet. And then from some comes animal species, from some comes humans, from some comes demigods, from some comes demons. Now once they get initial bodies as per their desire, the cycle of karma starts. So they perform. So of course, for the lower species of life, there is no karmic activity. The lion eats a cow. He doesn't have to take birth as a cow and get killed, because that is his food. So they get evolved basically, not as per Darwin, but through the ranks of karma, we can say. And then when he is moving from one body to other body, what happens that this soul, it gets transferred through, like say, the rain. The soul goes into the earth, then the plant sucks that water, and then the soul goes into some into the twigs, some into the fruit, and then one of such fruit, some birds eat, and then the soul goes in the body of that bird. If it is that, if they are having that procreation season, then there are many souls trying to get a bird body, and out of that one gets, and rest all pass through, stool, back into the water, back into the earth, and then again they get into some plants or something. And finally, some human eats some grains, and those goes into the human body. Now there are humans in the child form, adult, old, and those who are trying to beget kid, when the man unites with woman, there are millions of souls entering through his semen and trying to get a body. Out of that, those millions of sperms which are, Karamana deva netrena jantur deho papate striyo pravishta udaram pumsafreta kanashrayah. So these souls take shelter of these sperms and try to get a body. But how many get? Hardly one. And the situation is such a abominable that even if sometimes one gets body, they are killed within the womb. And they have to again repeat the same thing. And fortunately one gets a human body finally. And then what happens? Currently what is population on this earth? Human population? Almost 8 billion, close to 8 billion, right? Billion. Yeah. How many are devotees? Even if we consider, all 4 sampradayas, not only ISKCON, all Gaudiya, Vaishnava, Sri Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Pushti Marg, for that sake. How many are devotees? Compared to hardly a million maybe. It's on a higher side, right? So first of all, the human form is so rare. Just to get a body, forget about becoming devotee. Now, once one get it, to come in touch with devotees, far rare, right? And then here, what Brahmaji is saying, that we demigods, we hanker to get a human birth. Why? Because, Krutya Yadhyayato Vishnu Tretayam Yajdomakhe Dvapare Paricharyayam Kolota Dhari Kirtanat. Kali Yuga, the process of self-realization, in other words, to get out of this birth, old age, disease, death cycle is so easy that demigods wants to take benefit of that. See, in previous yugas or for demigods, if you say Satyuga fellow, you need to, chant this, Hare Krishna mantra. For them it's too simple. They said, it's just 3 words, Hare, Krishna and Rama. You are just circling it. He said, give us something like, say 20 pages mantra and we'll just recite it, There is that Narasimha mantra, right? Om, Shtum, this, that. Om, Namaste Tejas Tejase Avir Avir Bhava. What is starting of that verse? Yeah, Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya, Namaste Tejas Tejase Avir Avir Bhava Karmasyan Randaram Dattamo Grasa Grasa Avayam Om Shtum, So that is also nothing for them basically. For us it's tongue twister many times, right? So for them, even I'm not what to talk about demigods. For these guys, they have such a memory. For them, just Hare Krishna Mahamantra is nothing. They say, give us something complicated. For them, fasting, we are now many times 8:30. Many devotees, as soon as 8:30, they are ready to go out. Mahaprasad, they go in there, right? The natural bodies, Kali Yuga bodies, we cannot handle. You meet some Satyuga fellow, he'll say, I ate 1,000 year backs, Next 500 years, I don't even need to take a breakfast. I'm fine. Let's continue Krishna Katha. Can we do that? No. So first of all, human body is rare, and that too Kali Yuga body, we have very limited capacity. If I try to sit erect, my back starts spinning, and I have to come down, then again go up, Just, sitting half an hour, right? Now this life, this body, this short of span of life, has been desired by whom? Lord Brahma. He's saying here, right? In Prithu Maharaj's pastime, when Prithu Maharaj leaves his body, Archi, his wife, he also enters the funeral pile, and both of them, they ascend to spiritual world. So while going there, the demigods praised the human body. He said, we are in this such a good body, enjoying material opulences, and here in human form, they have a facility, just 50, 60 years, focus, you are out of this material world. You just see how much rare opportunity we have. And that also brings to the next point, that it brings us to the responsibility. Prabhupada is quoting this, Nudeha Adyam Sulabham Sudurlabham Plavam Sukalpam Guru Karanadharam Maya Nabhasvena. What is that? Nudeva, Maya Nukulena Nabhasvate Ritam Puman Bhavabdhi Nataretsa Atmaha. that this human form is compared to a boat, spiritual master is compared to a able captain, the instructions from scriptures, they are compared to favorable winds. And he said, this boat is very suitable to take us from this, ocean of science. But if somebody doesn't use it, he is Atmaha, killer of oneself. Because what's happening, then he'll again, as per karma, take another body, maybe animal or human, and then, the cycle will go on. And then, he'll miss the chance, right? Srila Prabhupada once, said that getting human form of life, fortunate. Getting human form and getting in association of devotees, most fortunate. And leaving that association, most unfortunate. That we have this such a rare opportunity, and if we just let it go because of, some differences with some devotee, or, some things that we don't like, who is going to be loser? Our not so humble ourselves. Why? Because we are giving the opportunity to get out of this whole cycle of birth, old age, this is that, for some small petty things. So that was the second point. So with this rarity of human life comes a responsibility. And then what is the, once we get this human form, what Brahmaji has been repeating again and again, about hearing. Our hearing, what we hear, will determine our destiny. Nowadays we see that people, especially here, the good thing is that many people, they have liking to read the books. If you travel in train or plane, many people, they carry books and keep reading it, right? But unfortunately, the books are full of, all junk actually, and then because people read it, they get their mindset, or their thought process, their desires, they get formulated based on what they read. There was one fellow who has written one mystery novel, murder mystery novel in US. And after that knowledge was published, there were some 1,000 murders. People, they took clue from the books how to do murder and not get caught. And then they used it. They read, so when we read something, basically we are hearing in one sense, right? And then it goes in our mind, then the thought, desire is awakened, and then action is taken place, right? So watch your thought, it becomes word, watch your word, it becomes action, watch your action. It becomes habit, watch your habit, it becomes character, watch your character, it becomes culture. It all starts with thought. And what is food for thought? Books. And what we hear. So therefore, we have to be so careful about what we hear. So this is about material thing. Even in spiritual circles, many times sadhaka gets allured by, they read Nectar of Instruction, last verse, right? Among the, among all the earthly planets, Bharatvarsha is best among Bharatvarsha, Mathura is best among Mathura, Govardhan is best among Govardhan, Radhakund is best, let me go to Radhakund. And they go to Radhakund. They get some Goswami literatures, they say Radhe Radhe. And then what happens? After 4 months, they are nowhere. They went to the purest place, right? But again, why? They did not take the guidance from the spiritual master. So basically, yes, we need to hear about Krishna Katha, we need to read, pastimes of Lord. But we should never leave reading Srila Prabhupada books. Because even reading spiritual books can lead us to our fall down in immature state. So Srila Prabhupada books, they are like our staple diet, rice, dal, sabji, chapati, Every day we need to take it. Sometimes Mahabharata, Ramayana, yes, it's like pizza or something. is okay, but like, philosophical wise, of course, there are also great literatures. The point is, it's not that the Goswami literatures are wrong, or it's not that they are not authentic. It's just that we are not mature enough to handle it. So Prabhupada has given us the best combination, wherein, yes, he has given us pastimes, but with the pastimes, he has given us the teachings as well, which will purify, so that later we can, when we are really pure, we can appreciate the Goswami literatures. So, yes, we need to discuss pastimes of Lord, we need to read, but we also have to be careful we don't get swayed away by, nectar hunting, nectar shopping, right? Oh, I know this pastime of Krishna, Ashtaprahariya Leela, right? What you know, just body and soul, I know much better than you. Not required. Until we are completely pure, it's, not required. This is enough to take us to spiritual world. Another point, Prabhupada says, it's like, we cannot go back to spiritual world in this one life. Now, at some other places, Prabhupada also said that, yes, in this very life, we can go back to spiritual world. That's possible. So what happens, sometimes, to give caution, the acharyas, they make some strong statements. Like this verse, he said, he vehemently, the first, Brahmaji condemns very vehemently. So first of all, he is condemning, that too also, not vehemently, very vehemently. That means, given too much stress, that condition of human being who does not take the interest in the personality of Godhead. So this is again to tell importance that how human form is rare and how we should be careful not to waste it. Prabhupada is saying, at least in this human form, have that desire, understand. But yeah, of course, once we become devotee, we understand. For devotees, it doesn't matter whether they are in material world or spiritual world. They just want, service of Lord. So this was the second point. So first point, we saw the rarity of human life. And second point, the responsibility it brings. And then the third point was that how hearing regularly, constantly, about Krishna can, with that we can have like, pure thoughts, pure desires, which can purify us. But we also have to be careful that we don't get swayed away by, nectar hunting tendency. So, and then Prabhupada was such a genius that to have this established, and not only to that, but to reclaim the conditioned souls, he established International Society for Krishna Consciousness to this day back in 1966, where only 10-15 members were there, and he gave the name International Society. Why? Because he had that vision. So 7 purposes of ISKCON, right? Easy to remember. First 3, preach, preach, preach. Preach to the masses to tell about the values of human life. Second, preach the teachings as mentioned in Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Third, preach the Sankirtan movement as given by Lord Chaitanya. So, first 3 things, easy. Preach, preach, preach. Next 2 things, bring closer, bring closer. What? Bring closer the members to, for what? To discuss Krishna Katha and bringing Krishna to their center of their life. I am rephrasing it basically, the sense. And second, bring closer to lead a more natural, self-sustained life. Varnashrama dharma, right? So preach, 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 bring closer, bring closer. Then third, build temples. Rather 3 to 5. Sixth is build temples or holy places of pilgrimage, where we can see the the glimpse of spiritual world. And the last one, to support all this, publish books. So if we, of course, there is nice verbatim Prabhupada has given, but this is in essence, right? So, yeah, I mentioned that. Bring closure for a Varnashrama system. Yeah, simple living, I think. Yes, that's the exact word. Yeah. So, Prabhupada, he said that the Krishna consciousness movement will propagate by organization and intelligence, right? So, many times what happens is that it said, organization is necessary evil, right? has been a debate between scholars why a spiritual society needs hierarchy, and why it's required. But yeah, if we want to function smoothly, if we want to propagate nicely, yes, we need that. So as a members on such day, of course, we have many things to celebrate in terms of how so many number of books we have distributed, such a nice temples coming up, so many devotees are joining. But it also gives us chance to reflect on, am I doing my part? Okay. And personally, whenever I think that, yes, while contributing, we are always very eager, and, because there is nice encouragement, and, encouragement is there, glorification is there, and then, it's very soothing, to be around nice devotees. But when it comes to personal application, I personally take it in a way that, yes, I try my best to contribute to best of my ability, but let me also make sure that no spirit soul gets away from Krishna because of my actions. Because again, when we are given facility, it also comes with responsibility. So first of all, yes, we are human, very rare. Then we are in devotional service, very fortunate, very, very rare. But it also puts a great responsibility that let me represent Srila Prabhupada and his mission in a way that not a single spirit soul goes away from Krishna because of my action. We may not say somebody directly, don't come to temple. That would be the worst if we do that. But we may act or we may behave with certain, forget about newcomers, even with the devotees, many times, that they may get disheartened for life and they may just leave Krishna consciousness for good. It's not that they have a problem with the philosophy. It's not that they have a problem with Prabhupada teachings. Many times there is interpersonal issues even amongst devotees. So yes, I may be focusing just on small part, but why to even keep that? Why not to even fine tune to such an extent that whoever enters, they never want to leave. They never want to leave Krishna consciousness. And that's the responsibility of everyone. It's not only management. Because we deal with each other every day, and many times within equal that we come to know about the problems. That, because there is where we share our hearts. So as an equal, if somebody is sharing their weakness or their, the difficulties they are facing, so instead of, taking the danda or, of philosophy or, your standards and beating them left and right and making sure they run away and never come back, we have to take an approach wherein they are, the problems are addressed at the same time, they are encouraged. See, nobody will remember, the glorifications they have done to us. Nobody will remember the troubles, but what everyone will remember is that the encouragement somebody has got when they were in difficult situation. So as devotees, practicing members, yes, we need to preach, we need to sometimes we are very good, book distribution, outreach, very good. But once the devotees are in, how are we taking care of them? So as individual practicing member of society, we have to have, our part, from our part, we have to make sure that we do all that is possible to make sure that everybody feels loved and cared. And then yes, sometimes there are, somebody needs to be corrected, some corrective action to be taken, but it should be done in a way that they are again encouraged to practice devotional service with enthusiasm. She said, hate the disease, not the deceased. So So particularly on this day, I pray to, Srila Prabhupada and, all the devotees that, let me not act in a way that, somebody gets away from this Krishna consciousness because of my behavior. So if we are very careful about it, then whatever actions we do, that would be positive always, like, bringing everybody and sharing this gift which Prabhupada has given. So ISKCON fairly is very new organizations compared to, like, it's kind of a budding organization. Still, like, Prabhupada has said, we still have 10,000 years to go. So if we make sure, like, all of us, if we take to our heart that yes, Prabhupada has legacy, Prabhupada, how much careful he was. There was one incident wherein some sannyasi left, he changed his ashram from sannyas ashram, but because of some devotees' comments, he said that he had, like, mailed his danda to Prabhupada, and he said, I'm so ashamed, I don't want to even, come in the association, because, some devotees had made some comments, So Prabhupada said that because of, some of the devotees' behavior, we have lost one soul, and he was unhappy, So if all of us, we take to the part, I'm not saying that we are not doing, but, it's always there is a chance to improve, right? So if we take care of devotees, happy devotees, many devotees, if we, that's the motto currently, right? So if we do that, then we would be really able to share what Prabhupada has given us in form of ISKCON, and then march forward in service of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, and then all these 7 purposes would really nicely taken care. So with this, we would like to stop. Any questions or comments? Okay. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, ISKCON Foundation Day ki jai, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.